We're investing more than $20 billion in methane mitigation to do things like capping orphan wells, plugging leaks throughout our oil and gas sectors.
So another point of the Inflation Reduction Act is the methane tax. The Biden administration is putting a tax on producers who exceed a certain amount of methane production. Can you talk to me a little bit about why Republicans are saying that's actually an obstacle to achieving energy independence, or unhappy about the methane tax?
Yeah, absolutely. They're saying, especially in Texas, in the Permian Basin, which is a major source of energy production, there's been a lot of opposition to this. They're saying oil and gas companies are, a crucial source of energy in the U.S., one that we can't afford to just disincentivize production. And there's been really widespread opposition, led in part by Representative August Pfluger of Texas and others who represent that district, saying that this is just unfair, this is disincentivizing and the nation's oil and gas producers, and just causing them to why would they continue investing in projects in the U.S. If they're being taxed at this extraordinary rate beginning as early as 2026.
To help families pay to upgrade their homes, to help families purchase and install, for example, a new electric stove.
We have to move on to one of the hottest topics in the energy space.
No pun intended.
I love it, exactly. One of the most talked about things in the energy space is the appliance efficiency standards set by the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. The gas stove ban that everyone has been kind of throwing around.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little bit terrified of, are they going to take our gas stoves away?
Can't put that on the back burner.
Can you kind of just give me a little bit of an overview? Is the Biden administration trying to ban gas stoves? And, if not, what are the efficiency standards? What do they look like?
Absolutely. So there's a couple different points here that I think are worth separating fact from fiction, right? So first, the CPSC, which is one of the commissioners, Richard Trumka, really set off, he ignited controversy, another little gas stove. Yeah. Earlier this year when he suggested that they would move to ban gas stoves. They are in charge, that's the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They're in charge of sort of recalling harmful products in the U.S. This was quickly walked back by his boss, but this is a 6-person commission, and his comments really ignited controversy. And DOE sort of separately the following month released a proposed rulemaking on sort of common kitchen appliances, common household appliances. Gas stoves were among them. And it said in a recent memo published after the fact that under that rulemaking, if it were to pass, which it's a long way away from that point, which I think is worth noting, but if that rulemaking were to become law, about 40%, 50% of gas stoves in the U.S. would not be eligible for repurchase. This is a big deal, and it does come at the same time as a lot of cities, states, localities are moving to impose their own gas stove bans. The city of Berkeley, California was the first one who adopted a full-scale ban on natural gas stoves. This has prompted a lot of pushback from restaurateurs, including Jose Andres, who was granted a waiver after he threatened to pull out a project in the area completely. And earlier this year, New York State passed a statewide gas stove ban on a lot of new construction, or a lot of appliances in new construction, beginning in 2026 as well. So these things are certainly, gaining traction around the U.S. And so I would not be surprised to see something on a federal level coming down within the next few months or within the year.
Absolutely. New York, like you talked about, was one of, I think, the entire state, one of the largest bans that's been enacted.
It was the first state in the U.S., yeah, so to do a whole statewide one.
It's going to affect a lot of people.
Exactly. I would not be surprised, in the same vein as a lot of states will follow California in relation to their EV adoption and those sorts of steps. I would not be surprised if New York is trying to, set a new standard on gas-powered appliances and rulemakings there.
We're providing you with a tax credit and rebates if you're buying new energy efficient appliances.
How does this affect consumers? You talked a little bit about restaurateurs, but everyday people who want to cook on their gas stove or use their high efficiency washing machine, how does that affect them?
Well, it's interesting. So in some comments published to the DOE by appliance makers such as GE, a lot of other major appliance manufacturers, they noted that these energy efficient washing machines were just unable to clean as well as they had liked. They said that it was likely to dissatisfy consumers. and that just a lot of the things that they rely on the appliances for, they would not work as well. So I think we would see a lot of consumer unhappiness. Another thing is that if consumers have had these gas-powered appliances in their homes for a long time, people in Berkeley that might have owned their homes for decades and had these appliances for years, if they need to replace a part or they need to get a certain fix, they won't be able to do so under the new law. They're just going to have to completely get a whole new type of appliance, a lot of times requiring them to do a lot of stuff on the back end with construction and things like that. A lot of expensive upgrades that I don't think a lot of people are prepared to foot the bill for.
Yeah, and something that, I don't know if there's been any regulations on whether the government will cover those costs or whether it's going to come out of people's pockets.
Yeah, I don't think there has been to date. So it's something that's, I think, worth taking into account for sure.
Well, a lot of exciting things in the energy space, a lot of new revelations on Biden's climate agenda. So Thank you so much, Breanne.
Thank you, Christine.
You can read more, and you can read more of Breanne at washingtonexaminer.com.